can a person forget something so awful as abuse?
Governments in Germany, the UK, Canada, Ireland, and Australia have all uncovered horrific abuse at orphanages. But America has never reckoned with the effects of the orphanage system, even though, during the 20th century, more than 5 million kids passed through it. Many of them weren't actually orphaned. Oftentimes, they had young single mothers, or parents who struggled with alcohol, the law, or simply couldn't afford to raise them. In the mid-1990s, more than 100 former residents of St. Joseph's Orphanage in Burlington, Vermont, came forward and said they had been brutally abused. But neither Vermont nor the federal government pressed criminal charges. If survivors wanted justice, it would be up to them to try to get it on their own. 28 of them sued the diocese, the order of nuns that ran the orphanage, and the local government agency that oversaw it. Christine Connealy is an investigative reporter who spent 4 years researching St. Joseph's for BuzzFeed News.
The only reason I was able to learn about this story was because these people in their 60s and 70s and 80s who've been trying to forget what happened to them their entire life were willing to give me a chance, were willing to tell me their story once more to see if I would believe them.
Sally Dale lived at St. Joseph's from age 2 to 23, perhaps longer than any other child. She said the nuns there beat her regularly.
That photograph is a photograph of you at a time when you were receiving virtually daily beatings at the hands of people at the St. Joseph's Orphanage?
Yes, sir.
Repeatedly locked her inside a small container that was kept in the attic.
I could not really sit up straight. I definitely couldn't stand up. And you really couldn't lay down flat.
And sexually abused her.
After whatever happened in her bedroom, she'd bring me by the hair and bring me back to my bed. Of course, before that, she'd spank me in her room. Could tell me I was a bad girl. In the morning when we got up, she would have me sitting on the floor beside my bed, and she would make all the other kids laugh at me and tell them what a bad girl I was during the night.
But those aren't the most serious allegations.
I saw somebody push a boy out the window, and I was looking up at the building, and to tell you who the nun was, I can't say, but I knew it was a nun because she had the habit. And he kind of hit and
Bounced?
Well, I guess you'd call it was a bounce. And then he laid still.
Sally also said she saw a boy drown after he was thrown off a rowboat and into a lake.
All I said is, did he drown?
Who'd you say that to?
To the nun. And she said, oh, don't worry, he's gone home for good.
Many other kids from St. Joseph's told similar stories. This is Ed Dupree explaining how he was thrown off a boat.
I was fighting for my life when I was swimming ashore.
And did this happen to other children?
Oh, yes. Yes. All the time that I was there, it happened. Every summer.
Patty Zeno said a nun named Sister Priscilla tried to push her off a windowsill when she was standing on the outside washing the window.
The windows were open, probably like this, so that they could hold you by your ankles. And she just went.
Okay. And what happened?
I started to fall.
The survivors who sued said that for decades they'd lost hold of their memories and only recently remembered the awful things that had happened. Sally said she recovered her memories of the abuse after attending a survivors reunion.
The memories all flowed back to me, in 1994, at that first reunion.
The idea that childhood abuse could be repressed and then recovered at a later date was a relatively new and still very controversial concept. Many experts thought it was basically a fraud.
The idea of having repressed memories is a theory which was developed and which has never been substantiated.
The nun's lawyer, John Sartori, an attorney known as Darth Vader by some of his colleagues, uncovered a number of inconsistencies in the former orphan's memories. For example, Patty said she first remembered the incident with Sister Brazil when she read an article in the local paper about Sally's lawsuit.
I went ballistic.
In what sense?
I literally flew out of the chair, started shaking, crying.
Was that the first time you had recalled that incident?
Yes, sir.
But Sally said she and Patty talked about it shortly after the reunion 2 years prior. The question of when the memories were recovered was just one of the inconsistencies.
When the memories were recovered, I think it's more when they're brave enough to speak up. And that's the thing. People will, push aside memories to save themselves because it keeps you sane. I mean, I've been trying to erase almost 2 decades of memories with one person, but I'm picking at them to see, what did I miss?